kind of scale up in this lineup, but the lineup of BetBoom team does scale pretty straightforward, I want to say. It's more of maybe mid-game tempo from Heroic, like you get the Disperser timing and Hector, and you get, say, a fast Blink Mage Slayer on Analog, and you can start to open up the game a little bit more, work into the Ags for the DK, into a Manta. You can start to apply a lot of consistent pressure as well, but it's a lot of farm, is my issue when you look at Heroic's draft. Like, outside of the Mars, everyone kind of needs a gold injection before they feel really impactful, yo. Mallory copy.
My goodness. Bit of conversation here between these two, GPK and Divine Llama. Very good. Divine Llama probably not very happy with the way things have been going as of late here for the boys, but you know, keeping the spirits high is the way I see it.
They are. This it's still going to be interesting to see how well good old Analog can deal with Husker lane. GPK should just have a very smooth time. And that's the concern. This early spike for the Husker doesn't feel like you have any good answers for it. And obviously Magic Burst isn't going to be there. Physical output burst as well isn't quite there, honestly. Does feel like this Husker with a little bit of armor is just going to be hard to punish. So maybe emphasis on mid is the call here for the side of Heroic. Try to slow down GPK, prioritize even as early as 4 minutes some of the runes, even though it's not as important for the Husker, but pick up runes into a straightforward mid gank could be some good timing. With a Rubik Gyrocopter, there is enough damage in the early levels of the Husker to kind of get that done. Mid lane should be pretty static though for Analog, as is the nature of DK lanes. He's going to sit back, he's going to farm, maybe play around with Breed Fire or Dragon Tail to secure CS, but beyond that, not much you can really do to stop the Husker from just playing his game here.
Yeah, absolutely not. See how they do as the levels go up. I mean, perhaps GPK, once he's got a few more points up in the Burning Spear, could try to get a bit more aggressive, but we'll have to wait and see. Of course, up at top lane, K1 and Schofield against Miro and Save. We have seen Save play this support centaur a few times, I do believe, and he does tend to perform on it. I don't think this game should be too different either. Schofield, careful there. They'll jump in onto K1 with a stun out. K1 going to be just fine. But this is a pretty dangerous kind of laning duo between Save and Miero. He lands a nice stun into some Spirit Siphons and you could be going down pretty damn quick.
And you can, and there's not much Schofield can do. I mean, you can poke and prod at the centaur. He just has so much HP. No armor, no ring of protection start for Save as support, but it doesn't matter. He's bulky enough that there's no threat from the Deuce and Rubik to punish him and just buy all the space from Miero to soak those easy levels to kind of get done. No pulls coming out just yet either. There was a body block earlier on from Save. Could line up to do the same and just prevent them from trying to control this lane. Still taking a look at the other side lane, of course, down bot. Divide Llama already looking to get a little bit aggressive onto Toronto, Tokyo, and just try to disrupt some of the pulls that he is trying to plan out. Nightfall is still farming up very steadily, though. Matchup against the Mars isn't as rough as well. And Mars can kind of threaten back with God's Rebuke. The range of Luna is pretty low. You do have Eidolon clear here as well. But just this threat of Malefice into the chase down with Lucid Beam, it is very dangerous for the side of Heroic. There's only so much the Gyrocopter can do outside of clearing out these Eidolons as well.
I mean, absolutely. Still pretty calm kind of lane here at this bottom lane. It feels like probably the top lane is where most of the action is going to happen between, say, Miero, Schofield, K1. Like, you can't really expect too much from the mid and bot lane, I don't think. Save actually getting forced away here, and so is Miero. So Schofield's still doing a pretty damn good job of just kind of forcing them back. Plenty of harassment available with that Fade Bolt and the Mystic Snake. If they are going to fight over the Lotus Pool. But Miero able to take the Healing Lotus away. K1 falling quite low in terms of the mana department, but as long as he keeps his distance, he should be fine. Save needs to land a hoof stomp to actually secure the kill, and that's probably not going to happen.
Quite yet. I do worry about the burst potential once you do have that double edge at level 2. It feels like if the man is sitting that unhealthily, and you've already had to pop the wand, the burst play is not too hard to pull off from BetBoom team, which is, again, like the beauty of this draft from BetBoom team. It just counteracts pretty much in every lane in a very nice way. Maybe the bot lane's the most static, but even that's not too bad for Nightfall. And the Vi is working that lane well, and they do manage to get the spear back.
If they do, it's a big kill here onto Nightfall if they can find it. Nightfall is going to go down. The Vi Llama, a very nice kill here on the Mars. You love to see that if you're a Heroic fan. In fact, Toronto's not safe either. I mean, KJ's going for a bit of a chase. He's going to be able to break the range now, so the Rocket Barrage is going to do plenty of work. And Toronto, he'll continue to go for a bit of a run, but KJ is eventually going to have his way with him. In comes Nightfall now to try and clean up the gyrocopter at the very least, but it seems as though KJ will just run out of there and salve up. He's perfectly fine.
They find that opening. All it takes is a good spear, and again, you've got a lot of reach for the side of Heroic in that lane at the very least. If you connect that spear, clearing out these Eidolons, no problem for both of these heroes in lane as well. So the presence of Toronto Tokyo with the demonic summoning isn't as felt. It's not as much pressure in the lane. Up top, they are splitting targets a little bit, which is unfortunate. If they manage to play on top of K1, felt like the threat is there from Yarrow. But this lane's still going pretty smoothly for Hector, all things considered. And his mana pool has been threatened. But they're not able to really land that killing blow. Schofield just cutting them off nicely, although...
Well, bottom lane, there might be a bit of action. Devi Llama's moving into Toronto Tokyo, but he kind of just pump fakes the Spear of Mars, doesn't bother throwing one out. They have been applying so much pressure to Nightfall, though. Like, this Luna has not felt safe at all down at this bottom lane, and that was without homing missile being available. Now it is. In fact, hold that thought, because top lane Schofield's going to be chased down now by Save. Though a nice lift up from Schofield is probably going to ensure he does survive. But going back to my point, John, in fact, hold that thought, because Analog now in trouble. GPK secures the kill.
Yep, just a rundown that you're looking for from that Husker. This lane for Analog, it's not really there. And Hector.
K1.
Jeez.
Once Schofield's gone, you know you've got to jump in. K1 is not very happy with that.
No, that's not a great feeling. Great movement from Save. Again, right, shoving Schofield away from lane, exposing that Deuce's solo, managing to get that control. Analog, 2 levels behind. Can't blame the guy, but good God.
GPK, there was a lift up from Schofield. There was even more TPs coming in here to try and deal with GPK, but he just... The TPs were too long and GPK just casually walks out of it.
Yeah, he's too tanky on that Husker. That dive earlier as well was with him not going for the life break. He did go for the extra point in Burning Spear. He didn't even need to life break there. Rotation top to Hector.
Absolutely. K1 again. I mean, you might start to see exactly why K1 did not look very happy during that drafting stage as the chase continues. K1 is going to be able to survive at the very least. So he is perfectly fine. Schofield maybe not so much, as the rush will just continue to chase him down as Schofield. Yeah, he is gone. K1, he sticks around the top lane, so they are going to see him with basically no mana pool at the moment. Toronto Tokyo trying to see if he can sneak his way in for a Malefice attempt.
GPK? Jeez.
Oh boy, GPK, middle lane. He does go down. They are going to lose Analog for that, though.
Yeah, playing on the edge, going for those armor toggles does pay off. Please finds the mid kill, and that was with Dragon Form running, so not as much pressure on that tier 1 mid. All things considered, it's a support rotation forced out from Heroic for the Husker kill, and you still lose your DK. You're still pretty happy on BetBoom. This is buying space out for Nightfall as well. No pressure for him down bot, while all the pressure is up top in Hector.
That it is. Well, that pressure has not stopped either. Like, Toronto Tokyo has still not left the building. Nero and Save both around the area as well, but it seems that the Deuce this time around should be okay. Meantime, Devi Llama, top of the CS board on the Mars, having a pretty damn good time. Currently second in net worth, only to the mid-Husker, of course, of GPK. We've said this over and over again, but Devi Llama, this guy really is just fantastic. Just always consistent in the offlane. And he has been the one player, I think, on Heroic that just hasn't really had a bad game.
Yeah, he hasn't. He's been trying to set up every single time. He's been that launching point for the team. And he's setting himself up with a pretty good foundation and getting a lot of damage off into that bot tier 1. Rotation for Analog as well with a Siege off the back of that Arcane Rune usage earlier, has Dragon Form up. So they can look for the straightforward tower. Might have to sacrifice top for this, though.
They may. They do find KJ. They'll find the tier 1, and now K1. That is the bigger deal. Is K1 going to try and go for the TP play out? Save trying to break the gap. Oh, right on the edge. Close, but no cigar. Nice attempt from Save.
Yeah, just a little bit too slow. Good spacing out from Hector to bail out, but without that tier 1, with the early forward vision already being set up by BetBoom, and they can just constantly pressure this Deuce as they have. No such vision down bot to spot Nightfall to make moves onto this Luna in comparison. Their attention has been mainly on mid, trying to respond to GPK. So overall, this is going to lead to a farm disparity between that Dusa and Luna. Right now, it is fairly even. They're not quite doing so hot in terms of total net worth. But the Luna can match that Dusa farm well. It's just down to how much of a map you can access here for Hector. We'll see how much pressure BetBoom team will seek to apply, but they're not leaving that top area yet. And Save just keeping his body up there every single time.
It seems like they're looking at mid here, BetBoom. Or at least pings were coming out towards that area. Analog kind of just removing himself from that mid lane for now. Not looking to apply too much more pressure yet. GPK getting bigger and bigger here on the Husker. So Heroic kind of understand they can't really do too much about GPK at the moment. No real hunt to try and find the Husker this game. I mean, Nightfall, he had a pretty tough lane for himself on that Luna, but he's having the time now to just catch up, and of course does have the Mask of Madness up now, so chances are his farm is going to escalate quite fast. You could make the same argument for K1 on the Medusa, but it really doesn't feel like an easier time. I do feel as though the Luna just farms a lot quicker, as they are looking to maybe make a play onto Miero top lane, but it just seems like they're going to try and swipe some creeps away from here from the Death Prophet. Like, you look at Miero, every time he sees K1, he just immediately starts rushing towards the Medusa. No fear in the world.
Just wants to make it as uncomfy as possible for Hector. And that's the big difference, right? Like, you talk about this farming pace. It's the pressure coming out in these safe lanes. There's just no one rotating down bot. The Vi Llama's camping mid, farming up there, preventing the siege onto the tier 1, clearing out the wave with God's Rebuke. You have Analog playing down bot, but a Soul DK is not really a credible kill threat onto the Luna at this point in game. And Nightfall's just going to be allowed to scale up a bit more. They are trying on mid.
They will find safe. It's a support centaur, but they will take it. Nice easy pick off there for Divine Llama. KJ will be the one to take the kill here on the gyrocopter, but they will smoke up immediately afterwards. So maybe going for a bit of a surprise smoke gank. See if they can find anybody else. The Devi looks like he will reveal himself just taking down those Eidolons in the mid lane, so maybe no real big gank to come. Schofield and KJ, however, they do continue rushing down towards the bottom lane where they will see Nightfall. Meanwhile, Divine Llama mid lane is just down. Still, the hunt is on down at bottom. Schofield and KJ, they are down around Nightfall. They might have the damage just with the two supports, considering that Rocket Barrage and the Crypt Swarm was stolen, and Nightfall is certainly going down. And I think Heroic, they seem very happy with that kind of trade. Divine Llama laughing from the grave.
Yeah, that's the big kill they needed here on Heroic. That pressure onto Luna had to come out at some point, and that does shut down Nightfall successfully. Again, still not in a bad position, tied in with Hector. Hector.
Yeah, he's having a pretty rough time, K1. Devi's going to show up to try and help out, but K1 is down. Save, again, is playing support Sentinel, so he does not care about dying. Miero, however, he might care a little bit more, but he's going to try for a TP play up, but no. The lift was available. So you give away Save and Miero for K1. I'm not sure how worth you call that, John, but they are continuously just killing this Medusa, which doesn't really seem like the worst case scenario for BetBoom.
Yeah, I think you're still happy. Really great usage of that Invis Rune coming out there for Save, finding that lineup. And it forces everyone back, right? Like, sure, you lose 2 heroes, you're buying space out for Nightfall to catch back up, so it's still a net positive after that gank on Luna. You're running away with this game on GPK. got the full Sanj up, going for the BKB next, gonna be nigh unstoppable once that BKB's up and running. At the least for Heroic, that fight happens away from the triangle. So they've got the stacks to kind of share with Devi and for Hector. That is gonna give a bit of a boost up for the Dusa, compensating for that debt. But still, the tempo does feel like it's hanging on BetBoom team right now. They've got the Aura build up on Toronto Tokyo already running with the Vlads. Some more frontline sustainability, especially for GPK in these engagements. They still hold on to their mid-tier 1, which is a really big hurting point right now for Heroic. They find a bot, but mids, when you start to open up that invasion into the jungle a little bit better, you can start to threaten the triangle a little bit more as well. None of that happening yet. Looking bot, though.
They certainly are. Arena is down. They've already found GPK with that one. GPK, though, a very, very tanky boy now. Will turn right back with the life break on the Divine Llama. Looking to back off, though. Stampede has been popped. GPK still relatively healthy. Armlet toggling is alive. How much longer? Still surviving. GPK is not going to be able to make it. They do finally take him down. Miero also being stunned up. His save will go down, and suddenly Heroic, they are pushing very effectively through the bottom lane, finding 3 targets. Big tips out for Devi. Heroic, they could think about applying a bit of a pressure onto the bottom tier 2, but they'll take the win with the team fight. They'll just get back to the farm game. And I think you've got to be very, very happy as Heroic after that.
And you are. I mean, again, they've got this really good tempo on Heroic, considering the fact that they don't have to wait for that many long cooldowns. It looks a little bit awkward for Devi. That sort of initiation, not managing to land a spear, not managing to take care of that Husker early on, but there's no one to back GPK up, right? Like, you don't have the threat of Black Hole on Toronto Tokyo. It's still on cooldown. Very long cooldown that they've seen committed. And they just make perfect use of that downtime. Whenever these spells aren't available on BetBoom team, they know Heroic can take the wider team fight. They know that it's not going to be as terrifying for these heroes to clump together and play off the back of this arena. And they just isolate the right hero at the right time. GPK is not able to jump in until after the arena's down. And at that point, the rest of Heroics are right on top, with BetBoom team not quite having that reinforcement. Nightfall's not ready to make the same moves as Hector is. Hector already has some presence out with his damage and with a Stone Gaze to follow through for control. Whereas this Luna, you know, level 1 Eclipse, level 2 Lucent Beam, it's not the most damage, not much durability just yet in the hero. You're probably just going to be stuck 4v5 on side of BetBoom team for a lot longer. Heck, 3v5 if you want to count the fact that you're going to be waiting for Toronto Tokyo to look for these angles in with Black Hole, and when that's down, he doesn't have much to do in these fights outside of just maleficing one.
BetBoom suddenly starting to find this game a little bit more challenging, I think, as Heroic certainly finding their footing here. 7 to 10 with a 1k advantage. Make that 2k there for a moment. K1 now third in net worth, definitely reaching a stage where you might start to get a little bit concerned if you are BetBoom. Nightfall, not too far behind him. Who does this kind of game favor, John? Like this kind of slow farming game, do you feel like it favors BetBoom, or do you rather Heroic?
I think both sides scale pretty well. Again, there's this build up for the DK. The Manta, the Ags later on. It can start to apply pressure in lane, does do a lot of damage throughout. I think you always have to think about the Enigma though. Like the threat of Toronto Tokyo and Black Hole only grows stronger as the game goes on. And you start to look for some greedier items like, say, the BKB and Blink for Toronto Tokyo down the line. Maybe even Lincoln's, just to protect from a stolen Black Hole opportunity. So those are things that do matter. Even the Husker, it does have some scaling once you hit some talent spikes, right? Like level 25 talent spike for Husker does make him relevant in late game scenarios. Like not those pure damage, burning spears. It's not something the BKB can save you from any longer, along with the Ags build up. So I think a slower pace is pretty even. Maybe it makes the game simpler for Heroic slightly, but I wouldn't say it makes the game favorable for them. It simplifies the game for sure, but it doesn't necessarily make it a better game for them. I think it just makes it a little bit more straightforward to approach. BetBoom team smoking up, trying to find something up top, but they don't have that forward vision into the top jungle or the deeper portion, but they can sneak away a Roshan, but a Husker doesn't take too long to get that done.
And they're going to try. I mean, if you are heroic, it feels like you're in a position where you could try to counter this Roshan attempt. Thing is, they've got to be aware that it's happening first. The vision was there, so they should be somewhat aware that this Roshan attempt is indeed happening. Roshan already less than half HP though, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to make it even if they wanted to. So Roshan freely going to be given the way of BetBoom. I mean, Heroic seem more than happy with just buying more and more time for K1, who is now officially at the top of the net worth board. The Miero was on the hunt to see if he could find himself a quick straggler pick-off before they did get into that top tier 2 tower. But that will not happen. Let's see what BetBoom can get done with this Aegis timing now on the Husker, right? Like, obviously they are going to be looking towards that top tier 2. They'll take a bit more time to farm, but with the Aegis and the BKB both being available now on the Husker, they should have a much bigger chance of winning that next team fight.
That they should. They're reaching a point as well where you're almost comfy for Nightfall to join in. Just needs that BKB to be able to fully utilize the Luna damage. Max out Lucent Beams as well now at level 15. So the output is there with the Eclipse. I'll take the gate across. Hector's in the firing line here, but he does have a ward outside to protect. That flank comes from the right side. Inside of BetBoom. Not going to be able to find that. And the vision game for both sides is... It's pretty alright. I'd say it's still slightly better for BetBoom team having this good line across the river up top. Kind of play around, but Heroic are playing away from that area. Anyhow, I think for the side of BetBoom team, the one thing we haven't seen from them is really deep triangle control. It's the one thing that's been lacking, and that's a resource Heroic has been falling back to. That has allowed Hector to farm back up with triangle into the bot jungle. See if that's something BetBoom will rectify down the line. They will try with another smoke out. Again, no one quite showing under the wards they have set up, but this gives him a rough idea with them running through the triangle at the very least.
Schofield's going to break the smoke. Does actually take the double edge of save and just blinks out of there immediately. Lets them know about it. No smoke to pan out here for BetBoom. Of course, they are going to be the ones that are a little bit more desperate to try and be aggressive here with the Aegis timing of GPK, but he's got an extra 3 minutes on top of that. Back K1 will be able to walk back behind his tier 1 tower. The GPK, of course, will begin onto that bottom tier 1. Heroic, they do have the option to go force a fight and defend, but they don't even need to. They'll just pop the glyph, just leave it at that.
Just stall progress. Like, even KJ just cutting creep waves with that full call down. Just ensuring there's no clean angle for that push here for BetBoom team. Trying to nullify that Aegis advantage. Save.
KJ, he's going to get caught out. Save with a nice little stun. I mean, this is just a support gyrocopter you're looking at. In fact, Save is just taking so much damage. Save is gone. KJ will just take him out of his own. Still on the run. Should eventually go down, but my goodness. I think KJ should be very happy with that.
Yeah. Does what he needs to do. Takes attention away, prevents a push, finds himself a kill on the way out, and this supports center for Save. Just doesn't have that durability you tend to see with Centrist. Nothing like the Eternal Shroud this game, no pipe as well for the aura carrying, just no gold to come out for Save. So he is very susceptible to all of that magic damage output from something like the gyrocopter. And it just takes away the bite of the center as a threat. So, great movement out from Heroic. Again, they're completely nullifying this Aegis. It's down to 1:40, which isn't too much time. Like, maybe a tier 1 falls, a tier 2, a little bit rougher, and definitely high ground off the table. So, it buys that time for this build-up on Hector. And more importantly, analog, right? Like, this scaling DK is the big factor to stand side by side with your Medusa. BKB being formed up into the Ags is going to be nice. So you've got damage follow through. You've got two big durable cores in the Medusa and the DK that can line up as well. I suppose there's also some really good scaling here for the Vailama. He is going into what seems to be the Octarine. We've seen him before when the games get dicey. He has queued up stuff like the Revenant's Brooch and Divine. Probably not the Divine, but Revenant's Reach for a late game Mars down the line as well. Could be nice if he feels like they can get away without the utility of, say, a Hex here.
Are they going to try another smoke? BetBoom. 4-man smoke is up. They'll run towards the north. There's still a minute 15 left on the Aegis timing of GPK. They will not run directly north, though. It looks like they'll head towards the east and... Oh, never mind. It's back up north. They want Analog. But do they see the DK? Analog just picked up his Aghanim Scepter. Pops the Dragon form, immediately goes for a run, but it looks like they will eventually spot him out, so Analog should really just be going down. Though it does take them a little bit of time, but that should open up the top tier 2 tower now, and it seems as though that's about all they're going to get out of this Aegis of GPK. Which I'm pretty sure they would have liked a little bit more, but it doesn't seem like they have too many options in the matter. In fact, they're not even going to find the tier 2 top tower. They're lacking a creep wave. That's a little bit unfortunate.
It's just the Ags timing lining up here for Analog. Managed to get the Manta Illusions off to cut the creep wave right before dying. So, no progression. Again, Heroic doing a great job of just completely nullifying this Aegis from the creep cuts down bot to the forced gank onto KJ. They've stalled out. They've built up a 5k lead on top of that now. For their end, they've managed to really eclipse with Hector's farm. Steady 1k lead for the Deuce to play with. It just leads to more issues. They have to consider now how they damage the Dusa. Especially with a butterfly coming through. That's going to cause issues for both GPK and Nightfall in terms of trying to just get their hits off onto the Dusa with additional EHP the evasion will provide. And that's not too far off for Hector, considering this state of the game. He's got a lot of space to farm in. Again, with all the smokes BetBoom team have been bringing out, they haven't been able to get that much forward vision. The triangle is still completely open for Heroic. They've still got access across the river with the tier 1 standing down bot. They've got good wards to watch across the river here as well on Heroic. So you can farm further out for Hector and just keep this pace up.
There goes the Tormentor. The Toronto Tokyo. He'll pick that free shards up for himself. Still 3k advantage the way of Heroic, but it feels a lot more than that right now, as we are going to see a big smoke coming out here from Heroic. Rush up toward the top lane, save. Feeling like something is a little bit wrong, does TP out, and we'll make it out, no problems. Could still look towards the top tier 1 tower if they do wish, and it seems as though they'll just let the Manta Illusions do the work. Doesn't seem like BetBoom are at all interested in trying to fight. They will just take the time to continue the farm game. And so, you know, it's a little bit slow, but Heroic, they do get themselves a free tier 1 tower out of this kind of delayed game number 2.
Yeah, it opens up Roshan a little bit better for the side of Heroic as well for that next Rosh. So if it does end up being a nighttime Rosh, which could be if it's a fast timer, does set themselves up for that objective themselves. BetBoom team finally getting some forward vision out, taking control of the triangle. Should be able to find a spot tier 1 into a tier 2 take. They've got the damage here with Nightfall fully confident now with a full BKB. Going back for the Conda next. So the Lucent Beam spam should be kicking in. And Heroic, they've done a great job of just removing the advantage, or the perceived advantage for the Aegis here for BetBoom team. And for their part, and they're going to have this BKB and Analog running up soon. You've got the Violama still having the option to go for Octarine or Refresh as well. So double Arena, double BKB is going to be very impactful in the middle of these fights, especially again considering that you can sort of just hold them in with the Arena to prevent the Stampede from feeling highly effective. The disengages are not going to be straightforward for BetBoom. Heroic smoking out, looking for the hunt themselves. No vision this time around down bot, or at least in the areas that was occupied. Do have one nice ward up top watching right near where the tier 1 would be. Could allow for some good gate movement here.
Well, they will go through the top lane. Roshan still 2 minutes away. Seems like they will prioritize just controlling the area around the Roshan pit for now, as BetBoom again just focusing on the farm game at the moment. We've almost got the Kanda completed now on Nightfall, and that'll be a pretty nice power spike for him on the Luna. Speaking of spikes, though, a full butterfly now completed on K1.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
It seems like it is going to be all about the next Roshan of the game, as per always. BetBoom, I do wonder whether they let it go, right? Because like they have not looked like they wanted to fight for a while. Toronto is about 250 gold away from the Blink Dagger being up, so perhaps if he gets that in time, you could think about going for that Roshan fight. But it does seem as though BetBoom are not quite interested in fighting at the moment.
They've just held back. It has been a slower game overall. 9-11, not the most kills on the board for being 28 minutes in. Again, there's a lot of patience on both sides. I think the Blink is a good launching point. It does feel like Toronto Tokyo will need at least a BKB. There's still enough stuns here from Heroic. Pretty long-range stuns as well if you want to count something like the Spear from Devi if he's not caught in that initial black hole. And that does still run a risk. I think your bigger issue now is how do you deal with Medusa again with a Butterfly, right? Like, you don't have anything with MKB, you don't have something like the Bloodthorn with a Rend, so you don't have guaranteed hits. The EHP is going to be really annoying to contend with from Hector. I don't think they've managed to scratch him past the laning phase either. This Medusa is just going to be an issue in the front line. Again, they don't have anything to protect them from magic damage like a pipe. Nothing being formed up just yet to prevent that steady output from the DK, from the Mars, and from the Gyrocopter. And no vision on Roche as well, which will just go now for Heroic. BetBoom team, they can't contest. They can try for a little bit of a shove in, I suppose. You've got the Eidolon army, but Roche is just at the fall.
What does it become about now, though? Like, if you're giving Roshan away freely like this, it's kind of like, is it just all about like some high ground defense? Is it just BetBoom just do not see the position yet that they really wanted to fight in? Like, it's a big objective to just casually give away. Perhaps they feel as though their high ground defense is pretty damn good with their draft. Now the Twin Gate usage out from Heroic right towards the bottom lane. Having a look around for some heroes here from BetBoom, but they do a very good job of just completely avoiding the side of Heroic. This K1 will barely see Toronto, but he's already TP'd out. There is no catching him. I suppose perhaps it is really just all about fighting around those tier 2 towers or even just the high ground here for BetBoom.
Yeah, I think it's the same idea what Heroic had last time, right? Like, they couldn't go contest Roshan. All they can do is just try to waste the Aegis as much as possible. Nightfall's already shoving in top. Movement in the gate was spotted by that early ward being dropped from BetBoom team. That allowed him to retreat, save, broke the smoke as well from the tree line. So it's now time to just try to waste 5 minutes from the side of Heroic and get some items built into that. They've got the full AC up in GPK, so they can take a little bit of that damage off from Hector. We'll lose a tier 2. That's already more progress for Heroic off the back of this Aegis. Again, the high ground is the next issue. That blink is up on Toronto Tokyo. So there is the threat of a black hole if you kind of clump around in this high ground. But Heroic, not staying disciplined enough here.
Well, that's a tier 3 tower about to go down. Glyph will be forced out here by BetBoom.
Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
Stampede is out, Save, he'll make the jump in. They want the Rubik first, and he is gone. Schofield out of the fight already. In they go for more, though. Save is also going to fall, and now Toronto is going down to boot. You lost your Enigma immediately. Save's going to buy it back. They'll try on a K1, but K1 will just casually walk his way out of there. In fact, he wants to go back in, seeing Miero is pretty much out of mana and almost out of HP. Miero, though, still making it out, but Heroic, they will continue through the bottom racks. Raindrax is gone. Jump in again from Save. He's going to try and slow this down. The mana pool is also gone from K1, but he does have the Aegis up. So the first life will go down. See if they can get him a second time. Eclipse has been popped. K1, he'll use the Manta. He'll try to get the hell out of there with the Disperser. They'll use him up, but it won't matter. K1 is perfectly fine. In fact, they'll even hand him a cheese now. So even if you get through the first mana pool, he'll have a second one with the cheese.
Could have been a lot rougher for BetBoom team. Really unfortunate way to open up that fight as well. Toronto Tokyo instantly getting stunned up by the Stone Gaze and getting cut off by the arena, so no big black hole to come in. Just makes it rough. Again, right? There's so much AoE control on the side of Heroic that even with a BKB, it feels like for Toronto Tokyo, if that Stone Gaze goes off, you're still under threat of just not getting that channel. The follow-through doesn't feel clean. BetBoom team were also forced to use Stampede maybe a little bit earlier than they'd like with all of that poke damage coming out while they were playing tag. They're not able to angle themselves back in. Heroic looking for the smoke re-engage here.
Yeah, they are. I mean, why not? K1 will see GPK. GPK forced the BKB and BKB out. Excuse me, rather BKB and TP out as Schofield was right there ready to go whenever. On to the bottom racks once again with a double damage rune. Or amp damage rune as they call it these days. And that'll be enough. Back to the top lane where they might find save here on the Centaur. The save looks like he is just trying to farm his own BKB so he can kind of survive these big initiations, but it's still going to be a while away for the poor old Centaur.
Yeah, still a long ways off from that one. For the side of BetBoom team, game state definitely not in their favor. Heroic has managed to do a great job with the Aegis into finding some tangible benefits on that high ground. Also got the BKB almost being formed up here by Hector. I think by the time the courier is back in, should be able to have that protection as well for the Dusa. So it's only really going to be the black hole, which again isn't a simple game for Toronto Tokyo to look for the angles in. Do have a good ward to play around here. Hector just farming up the triangle. Could try to ambush. They're being patient.
Jump is there. They have found themselves a gyrocopter, but KJ is still going to be able to just glimmer and get out of there. And will. The Glimmer Cape usage plus the Disperser makes it very easy to just escape the Radiant Triangle. And the BetBoom, it does feel like they are kind of just lacking lockdown at this point, right? Like, you've got a Centaur, you've got an Enigma, but it just doesn't really feel like that they're able to lock anyone down. And obviously, we really haven't seen any black holes from Toronto this game, which goes back to the fact that they gave Rubik away. It's a pretty tough scenario here for BetBoom. Like, you get into a stage where you just can't lock down anyone long enough.
Yeah, it's down to the fact that their initiation on BetBoom is just all in, right? If you jump in with Centaur with Blink Stun, you're going to lose a hero. Like, you have to be able to find more than just a one-for-one trade, and it's just not straightforward. Your follow-up control just isn't really there outside of just black hole from Toronto, which, again, it's not just the Rubik. I mean, the Rubik's a big part, but the fact that Stone Gaze can just ruin you, the fact that a little poke from the spear can stop you as well, heck, even homing missile can just stop you in the middle of the channel. It's a challenging game to field safe. Now you have to contend with the BKB being up on Hector now as well, the courier coming back in. So he's got a lot more to play with up front. He's not just going to be easily Hewells up in the air. You've got the Ags for Schofield up, so you can steal multiple spells. Heck, does that ES Ags upgraded Eclipse now? That could be an issue in these fights.
That sounds like an issue. That's a lot of damage. I mean, that could really just ruin the team fight altogether for BetBoom in the next one. Especially if you're not quite expecting it. Jump is out. The Schofield, he does actually drop the Eclipse. It was wearing off, so he just uses it. Doesn't get anything out of it, sadly. They'll know he has the axe up at the very least now. How do you slow down Cave? Like, this Medusa just casually able to just move in with the Mantle Illusions, get a bit of chip damage here. You can just keep doing this over and over again.
Try with a smoke out. Maybe try to find a flank, but high ground control's on Heroic in the triangle. They do have an amp damage rune. That could turn things around. Still need to work the angle, though. That's the difficulty right now.
That's a start, though. The amp damage is certainly going to make a bit of a difference, I'm sure. T3 tower in the mid lane is going to go down, but BetBoom, they are still sneaking up from the back, though. Devi ruining everything here for BetBoom, just spearing them away. No initiation. It's either save or Toronto, but neither one's getting the initiation they want.
No. It's just so all in. Like, it has to work out if you're going to commit this hard.
GPK stunned up. by the spear of Devi. Here they go. They'll make the jump in, trying to go after K1. K1 already out of mana. Will eat the cheese. Now popping the Stone Gaze. Needs to get away from Miero. Will be able to do so. In goes Devi now, finding the Luna with the Spear of Mars, but there is no backup. They want to try and retreat here, Heroic. There's still no mana on K1, so they don't really want the fight. Devi will get caught. Devi will go down. So will Schofield.
Radiant's middle
And
tower
BetBoom, they will finally find a successful team fight.
That's probably as good as you can hope for here for BetBoom. They do lose. They still hang on to that top tier tree. They managed to get this engagement very split up. Heroic opting to go for the retreat instead, really respecting the threat of Black Hole. And like Toronto doesn't find the angle again, but they're so declumped on Heroic that they're not able to help each other out. And you can isolate these heroes one by one to find the big ones you'd want. Taking away the cheese as a factor for Hector as well does remove a little bit of that threat into the next fight. And overall, it does give you time here on BetBoom team to figure out these angles. Heroic, I'm a little bit surprised they opted to fully back out. They still had some output on Hector, but with how fast his man drained into that usage of the cheese was a little bit dicier than you'd want for Heroic. Next Aegis has to be where BetBoom capitalizes on. And we'll see that respawn in a minute. So 39:30 respawn, 30-second window where it will hang up top. And BetBoom could try to wait it out, but 30 seconds, they could clear it out fast enough. Should be able to have the damage. And the high ground is ready. There's only, well, there's still 2 outer towers, but at least top is something they can push in off the back of that next Aegis, if they can find it. Heroic also really aware of when that Roshan should respawn. Won't be one to give it away for free.
Dire are
Here we go, in Heroic now, slowly making their way up. 20 seconds for that Roshan to spawn. So K1's going to pick up a Swift Link before the Roshan does spawn, but he's left himself with no buyback gold. That could be a little bit scary here for the Medusa if she does get caught with her pants down. Roshan, now officially up. Everyone's kind of left the area though, to be fair, but so BetBoom, they will have kind of first dibs on knowing Roshan is available. Everyone though just keeping right down towards the bottom lane, preempting Roshan's move to the other side of the map, and Heroic will do the exact same. Group up is there, Heroic. They're gonna smoke up. K1 will reveal himself. Keep in mind again, he doesn't have the gold to buy back, and they're gonna make the jump in. They would love K1 to start the arena, though. Going to make it very hard to continue the chase for K1. He will move on to Miero. Miero needing to back his way up, but the stun is going to come in from Analog, holding him down. Though it seems as though the side of Heroic don't really want the fight. Or do they? Device back in. Eclipse has been popped. They're still trying for Miero. Meanwhile, the stolen Eclipse now coming in onto GPK. GPK still armlet toggling through it. He's going to survive another day. I cannot believe that was not enough. They threw everything with the kitchen sink at GPK. And Miero, and I suppose at least Miero was forced to buy back. They will lose KJ as well. KJ forced to come in to boot. 2 buybacks being committed by Heroic.
This is a scary re-engage for Heroic as well. Toronto Tokyo is just so patient, still has the black hole. If they force this issue onto Roche, it's all going to fall apart. Will be a freebie given away to BetBoom team instead. They've got the refresh up now on save. Could hand it over onto Toronto Tokyo for a double black hole threat if he sees the opportunity, but man, that's the way they go. Yeah, ready with it.
Let's get through one black hole first, John.
Hey, look, he's been really patient, right? It's the threat of black hole. Heroic aren't able to clump up. Like, Eclipse drops, no one's there to capitalize because they know the moment they stick together too close, Toronto Tokyo's gonna jump in. It's a lot of respect. They know that they have nothing to stop it if they're all caught in because they already blow the Stone Gaze earlier on in the fight as well. Hector just popping it the instant he was jumped on. So you don't have that easy way of just stopping black hole unless you just homing missile without getting caught in the black hole. And there's a lot of ifs in that scenario there for Heroic. BetBoom team, hang on, stay in the game. Working towards a refresh for Nightfall. Double Eclipse, double BKB is going to feel great. You've got the full Satanic for GPK, which led to that survivability. And even with a solo Eclipse on him, it's a Husker with Berserker's Blood. He doesn't care too much about magical output, unfortunately. And that does lead to some difficulties in that burst. And this is that point in the game now where, it's like what we were talking about. The game is somewhat simpler for Heroic to play in comparison to earlier, but that doesn't make it easier for Heroic either. Despite them having a 6k lead, despite them being 1 racks up, BetBoom's still in the game somehow.
I mean, they certainly are. Now they've got a Refresher Orb available on Nightfall. So double Eclipse available for him. Seems like BetBoom are feeling a lot more confident with the Aegis up, of course, and so they should. 43 minutes in, just a 6k advantage to Heroic, but again, with the Aegis being lost, it doesn't really mean jack crap. Now, Heroic, they do remain grouped up in that dire triangle. Nightfall's going to run right into them. But with the Aegis up and with his team being pretty close by, they obviously do not want to jump in onto the Luna at the moment.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And Nightfall, though, still hanging around. They'll go after the tier 2 bottom tower. K1 slowly making his way through to that area. This time, he's just 150 gold short for buyback gold. Eclipse is thrown out. They have picked off save with the Eclipse stolen by the Rubik. Meanwhile, K1, he will move in onto Nightfall. They'll buy back on save. Nightfall's going to go for the man fight with the Eclipse out, trying to go after the Medusa, but it's landing on absolutely nothing. So the first Eclipse does 0. And that might be enough for BetBoom to just leave the area. They will instead TP GPK into the mid-tier 2 tower and start pressuring the mid-tier 2.
Yeah. They know that all the attention's down bot. They know the flank angle that Heroic will have to take. They do not have the vision to play with, but it's going to be a little bit scary still for Heroic to push in. Buyback forced out and save. Stampede is still ready for the engage or disengage. They opt to play it safe on BetBoom. Won't go for the full push out. Did find a tier 2 at the very least. They hang on. Again, both sides being really cautious in this game. 14 to 15. 10k lead still up for Heroic. But they have to play into this Aegis that's available on Nightfall. It just makes it scary. And again, they're showing a lot of respect to Toronto Tokyo. He does have the BKB up, so the only thing that can stop him is a stolen black hole or the stone gaze. And that makes it easier for him to actually start to commit some of those black holes now for a pickoff.
K1?
Captor?
Mid lane, K1 lift is out from Schofield, trying to help out the Medusa. He'll pop the BKB and pop the stone gaze. Save. Oh, save has died back. They almost had the Medusa. K1, though, is barely able to survive as they will continue chasing down the side of Heroic, but they cannot. They can't move into the high ground of that dire triangle. They would be doing so completely blind. It would save dying back. I mean, that's a Centaur down for 70. It could be an opening for Heroic, even with the Aegis up on Nightfall. It's only available for the next 30 seconds. Certainly an opening here for Heroic if they want to try and move in, and they do smoke up as 4. K1 has reset. He's even got the Ags up now on the Medusa. And the immediate rush from Heroic down through the bottom lane. They won't go through the bottom, though. Looks like they will regroup in mid. Problem is they don't really have a creep wave. The Lunar Illusions have already taken out the mid creep wave, so Heroic, they are still going to send K1 in through the top lane looking for the T3 tower, but that is still going to survive, not going down, but eventually he will get. Onto the top racks he goes. Glyph will be forced. There is a bottom creep wave now coming into the base.
This is a rough situation now for BetBoom team. Again, the Aegis advantage has been completely nullified, just not able to find that opening.
K1.
Need to find a way to leverage his black hole somehow.
I mean, Toronto blinked in, but did not want to press the button. And I don't think a black hole will be enough when there's a Rubik in the game. Like, Schofield's been very good of just always staying out of vision here of the Enigma. And of course, with the Ninja gear up on the Rubik as well, it just makes life that much more challenging. Like, what the hell is Toronto meant to do with this Rubik against him? Schofield has been very good at stealing some big spells to boot. Now the full Bloodthorn available on Analog. So even more damage and control coming in from Heroic. It's just a very slow kind of bleed here for BetBoom. Like, Heroic are being very disciplined in the way they push for high ground. And of course, their tournament lives are kind of on the line here. Like, even just getting a draw could make all the difference for Heroic. So this game 2 is extremely important.
It is. And it does lead to this more cautious approach, right? Like, they've got the advantage. They know they can probably just stall out for next Roche or wait for BetBoom team to get impatient. BetBoom team themselves also not giving away too many openings, or as much as they can afford to give away, are still hanging on. They are only 1-2 racks away from the full Megas, though. It's a little bit of a challenge. They've got to find a way to jump Schofield first. Take away the threat for the Rubik, then you can isolate the Dusa. But the positioning is just so far back. No one else can jump in on BetBoom team outside of Save. Right now it does feel like maybe GPK if you want to count the life break. GPK does hit his spike at level 25, does have the pure damage burning spears. So there is a lot of output on that Husker now. I'm going for the Ags next as well, just to have that taunt. That taunt could break this match for Hector if he does get caught out. That is something to consider here as well. But slow and steady push. Just use these illusions from DK. Slowly chip away. Oh, Hector.
K1. Jump is there again. Black Hole being committed. They will lock them down, but it is going to be stolen here by the Rubik. Still K1 is dropping and is gone. Stolen Black Hole though. Does catch 3 targets. Can they do it, GPK? They can. He is down. But the Luna is going to be the big issue here. Nightfall. He will go after Analog on that Dragon Knight. It's a tanky boy, but they'll lock him down with the Hoofstorm. Still, he will be forced away. Now Schofield again with the stolen Eclipse being dropped right on the heads of BetBoom. But Analog so low, still running. Still will make it out. Now the Luna, Defy. He's going to find the stun out. Oh, Nightfall's gone. They've got buybacks on both GPK and Nightfall. Even without K1, Schofield on the Rubik is just doing too much work. Buybacks being committed. They'll bring GPK back into the team fight, but Analog's just going to BKB and TP away. They can't control him. Man, oh man, I tell you, John, this Rubik pick is really coming back to haunt BetBoom.
And it is. There's just no way you jump that backline right now for BetBoom. Or like, you need to take care of Schofield. Toronto Tokyo finally gets a black hole onto 1, but it's like, if you don't take care of the Rubik, you just get counter black hole. It's just too much control. Cuts off that aggression they had from that opening, instantly blows up GPK, forces the buyback, stalling out this eventual Ags as well, and then also manages to get the Eclipse. He gets everything. And it's just so easy for that Rubik this game as well.
I mean, look at the 2 spells he's got, John. He's got Eclipse and Black Hole. Like, this is just the perfect combination for the Rubik right now. He's literally holding just both of them. Like, what are you meant to do against this? Like, just Ninja Gear makes it impossible to see the guy. He's got the Aether Lens up. He's got the best spells he can steal in the game right now.
No.
Now Roshan's happening. A Refresher Shard available on that Roshan to make matters even worse.
Yeah. Double black hole, double eclipse does sound mighty tasty for Schofield to find. They will hand that to him and see if that's a priority, but on BetBoom, they're trying, but it's this lack of jump that's really catching them. They're so reliant on the support center to come in. They're so reliant on these wider team fights just hinging on black hole. Toronto has just not seen the opportunity. The one time he does, it's like, yeah, well, there's still a Rubik. So it's not simple. And for BetBoom team, I don't know where the answer lies, honestly. Like, you're pretty much fully slotted up on Nightfall. Could maybe build an Ags Blessing for himself. Maybe you get a blink up on GPK with the Ags. Like, that does give you enough reach to try to search for the backline, but even then, like, I don't know if that's enough. We'll just get blown up.
K1, he is alone, but a nice blink away. They'll still get the Yules off eventually here. Toronto will pop the black hole again, just trying to catch out the Medusa. The K1 is still not dying. They'll drop the Eclipse as well. The stolen Eclipse, they're going through the side of BetBoom to boot, but they have found K1. K1 is down. That's a huge pick off here for BetBoom. Whether they can capitalize off it, it's a different question entirely, but they do get the Deucer down.
That they do. They hang on with just one Rax down mid, saving them from Megas here. Fortunately, map state is not in the point where they can just look for that push. Buybacks ready as well. The Vi trying to cut off just a little bit.
I think you're just going to make sure the creep wave does remain forced in here. If you are Heroic, just do not give BetBoom the chance at all to think about going through the mid lane. You've got the black hole available, don't forget here, John. I mean, you could still make some magic happen on Schofield. The Vi maybe going a bit too far, though. May end up losing the Aegis here as they will jump in with the stuns out, locking him down. And that is the first life of the Mars gone. They'll pop the Dragon Form. They are going to try for something. Nightfall, he'll pop the Refresher, trying to go onto the Vi Llama. They will get him. A big pickup. Heroic, throwing a little bit. Schofield, at least able to TP away with his BKB. And perhaps an unnecessary kind of engagement here from Heroic. But to be fair to them, John, they have dealt with all the creep waves in the mid lane. So there is no push to come from BetBoom with this K1 kill.
Yeah, they still can't move forward. We've got to keep Toronto Tokyo behind to just keep these other lanes kept in check as well. And it's back to the stall. 17 to 18. 54 minutes in. 15k lead for Heroic. Could see those tier 5 items come out, Mike. This time around, it does feel a little bit more feasible. Maybe. It does feel like you're one fight away from BetBoom team losing everything.
Just DK illusions. I mean, you are correct, John. BetBoom does. It does feel like they're at that stage, and I'll tell you, they made matters worse now because they've lost most of the items here on GPK for the Ags build-up. So that's going to be gone for another 3 minutes 20, and that is not a great feeling. You kind of want everything you can get right now if you are GPK.
I think you do. At the least, you're still waiting for your pickup as well anyway of the Blessing recipe. You see that Eclipse blown onto Miero just to get usage from the spell before it expires. Does at least push back again, just preventing any sort of river crossings for the side of BetBoom. I don't know, like, the black hole is still the most important thing, but Toronto, I'd say right now, just buy out the Lincolns. He has that Lincolns, he's going to feel a lot better just getting that black hole to isolate. You don't mind the Eclipse being given out as much. At the very least, you know, you're not picking up the talent on that steal, so you're not having to deal with Lucent Beam stuns on the Eclipse Lucent Beams. So the damage at this point can be something that you go through. Do need a restart on the Vi Llama. We'll get that done for a couple of the Heroic players. I was wondering when we were going to get these long games, Mike. You know, you and I, when we cast, some of these games can go on. This is it.
We have a tendency of getting these longer games, that's for sure. And here we are, 55 minutes. I mean, this isn't too long. John, what was the last ESO event we did? Was what? We had a record-breaking game, if I remember correctly.
A record-breaking series in the China finals for Birmingham. Totaling,
right, that was.
I don't know, something dumb. Like the longest game there was 100 plus minutes, 109, I think. And
no, it was more than that.
Was it more than 109 minutes? Was it 115? Around that ballpark, maybe.
So it was a record-breaking grand final. Yeah.
Yeah, like the longest in terms of Dota game time. That's an interesting night, for sure.
Shout out
it's
to
around
G2IG.
that same time as well. Right now.
It was a G2IG and Azure, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. They gave us a series for sure. Gave Jack a good time as Manfred, you know. Just watching his boys. It's like, yep. Some Dota right there.
This time around, they just didn't give us the G2IG games. Just leave, you know, let the boys have a break this event.
I think what's fixed this year.
I'd love to know what the win probability of the game is, if it worked. Currently, it's still 100% the way of Heroic, apparently.
I mean, the script's there. You can read the document, Mike. Every time this happens, it just means you didn't read the document. Now you've told everyone you haven't read the document. Script writers can be upset once more. Gonna get a phone call right after this, I'm sure.
Shout out to SVG. He's the go-ahead.
Why SVG? Why
He's
Avery?
the scriptwriter. Jonathan, you didn't see that content piece? I don't even know when it was from.
All I know
what
what SVG is. No, it's just SVG always goes on a tangent about something, then Cap's just there.
Yeah.
Almost the same dynamic here. I go on about something useless. You know, last game I'm pretty upset we didn't have an opportunity to make airline jokes. Save.
Is dying.
Oh.
Whoopsie daisies. Nightfall.
Oh.
Nightfall wants him to think about what he's done. That's all right. You know, sometimes you've got to pause on your teammates while they're about to die. It's no problem.
What tangent did SVG go on? What tangent?
He was complaining about GPM talents, and I think it was Doom. He was not happy about the fact that Doom has Devour still, and he thinks the GPM stuff is stupid.
I feel like we've had that rant in person at some point as well.
Yeah.
I think I've heard him say that somewhere in the green room.
He has.
Now it is with old people, Mike. They ramble on. They go in circles about that one thing that bothers them over and over again.
Yeah, they sure do. Of course, Cap did try to sway the conversation back to Dota 2, but you know, SVG.
Hey,
GPM talent.
That is a conversation about Dota 2, you know?
Passive income. Don't bring up passive income with SVG. He gets very upset.
I'll make sure to bring it up next time we see him. If we see him. And that's going to be the hot topic of the day, I'm sure.
Oh, bottom lane. Make that mid lane heroic. They still want that melee barracks to try and secure some mega creeps here. Backdoor protection will kick in, but the creep wave is currently on the way through multiple lanes, and here we go. Backdoor protection is now over. And it seems as though BetBoom probably understand they don't really have much of a choice and they have to go against mega creeps at this stage. K1's just going to casually jump in with the stone gates to secure this. There you go. Mega creeps are now up for heroic. They will just leave. No need to force the issue yet. Though I say that, Analog, he's going to move on to the high ground. He has a different idea. Let some Man Illusions do some work.
These DK Illusions do so much damage. He's got the Octarine as well, so really high uptime on that Dragon form. There's no real counterplay right now for BetBoom team. Just hinging off a black hole to come out from Toronto, Tokyo, hoping that Schofield slips up somehow, provides that opening for themselves here. But Heroic, they've rallied back. You know, we've said it every single time we've casted them. Their first series, almost always 0-2. Curse seems to be broken today. At least lining up for a draw, it looks like, if all things hold steady.
I mean, you know, tier 5 items, John. They're only 2.5 minutes away, so you never know. That RNG might come into play.
You're trying to get the game to end, Mike. Mentioning. You want this to be done. I'm sure Heroic actually wants it to be done as well, to be fair. You know, it's not like they're chilling here, just want to play more Dota. They want this win.
Yeah. Understandably. K1's going to move in. Just clears out a creep wave, does back his way. Not too much messing around here.
I just realized I'm actually experiencing a slideshow now. How am I getting 30 FPS at this point? What?
It's alright.
Late game Dota.
You're not the one playing, it's fine. 30 FPS will do for you.
Cinematic is what they call it.
Yeah.
Good old 24. Cinematic weight as well.
Certainly he is. BetBoom are not moving at all. They just hold the high ground. So BetBoom, is there even any chance they're not the first place team in the groups? Even if they do draw up this series?
Let me just quickly check. there is a chance they're not going to be first. There's a very low chance. But there is, I mean, if they drop every series, sure. If they lose like 2 series after this, then I think. But even then, I don't know if that knocks them out of the top 4, actually. So maybe not first, but certainly still in phase 2, at the least.
Oh, Divine. Smoke is out. BetBoom, they're going to see Divine Llama. He does get the BKB off in time and does Wind Waker out of there. Meanwhile, they have also found Schofield. Schofield just going to BKB TP out of there. Is now K1. Will pop the Stone Gaze, but he needs his own escape route, and he's going to be alright. Everyone on BetBoom just gets petrified as Divine Llama does make the jump back in with an arena, but the BKBs are out. Miro will run. BetBoom are running all together. Nobody wants to stick around for the fight. Tips out from Schofield towards Miero as well while we're at it. It's a lot of... I mean, at the very least, Stampede and Exorcism are down. It might be the opening they're looking for on Heroic to try and move high ground. Thing is, they are also lacking Arena and Stone Gaze, so I suppose, in some sense, it might be time to go get those tier 5 items. And that's exactly what they'll do. Here we go.
Look at that. Giant Spring Gyrocopter. Look at that
Love
outstanding unit. That is terrifying.
That's a big boy.
Reminds me of a carrier in another game, except it doesn't have little fighters, unfortunately. Wouldn't it be nice to have a carrier hero in Dota 2?
I don't
It'd be
know
nice to have more space-like heroes. Yeah, but wouldn't it be nice to have that kind of concept? Whatever that concept may be.
I'm not a big fan of the whole space genre, I must admit.
Yeah, you really aren't. Don't like Doom. Don't like sci-fi.
Save.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
Never heard of a jump. Save will get caught out. Let's get the Stampede off with the BKB. Plenty of heroes showing up as well. Stone Gaze is going to be popped here by K1. Yule Scepter out onto the Centaur, and he is gone. Does have buyback available, though.
Ooh. That is disgusting. Seer Stone for Schofield as well. He can literally stand a screen away and just steal all the spells. Good God.
You love to see it. Sadly for BetBoom, I don't believe they have any tier 5 items themselves, so it is a bit of a disadvantageous position for them, that they are going to be forced to fight by the looks of it, because K1 and Nightfall, well, they both kind of go at it there for a moment. BKBs were forced out. But once again, Heroic looks like they will leave, not seeing the big opening they were hoping for. Props to Toronto Tokyo John, he's doing the right thing. He's out just farming the Ancients, trying to find some tier 5 items. Already has found one, which I believe was handed over to Nightfall on the Luna. We'll see what he gets. What does Nightfall want? A pirate. Why the hell not?
Not too bad. I suppose just the attack speed is very useful at this point in the game. But it is nice. Wonder what else they can find here. I honestly don't know what repairs this. Like, we've got one ready for GPK. Not quite picking up what he wants yet. Roche is being taken for free. It's another refresh, another Roche banner. And this should be the one to close the game out for Heroic if they find that fight in their favor and they have all the tools to get that done. Just need to find it. And GPK is still not picking what he wants.
There you go.
What does he have? I wonder.
Who?
GPK. Like, he just has the token. He's not... There you go. Mary Shield. Alright. I almost thought he forgot about it. It's like, oh. There it is.
Arcane and Slum are going to be pretty annoying here as well. Like, to play against his... Like, Divine Llama, he's going to be pretty much unkillable at this stage. Here we go. Stampede popped. Was actually the Stampede of Schofield, so it doesn't really mean too much. A save now, going to jump in, has found K1. K1 though, happy to fight back.
Oh,
they do
Nightfall.
catch Nightfall. Nightfall, he needs some help, but he's not going to have it. Nightfall is down. He can buy back though, and he will commit now as GPK has jumped in onto K1, who's out of mana. K1 is down the first time. Does have the Aegis though. Here comes the second line. Nightfall will rush in. K1 taunted by GPK. There's your black hole. It will be thrown out. Where's Schofield? There he is, throwing another black hole out. He caught 3 targets with it. It's a huge black hole from Schofield. They have taken out GPK. They've got saved. The buybacks are incoming. Nightfall's completely surrounded. There is no fighting. There is no fighting for BetBoom. An ultra kill out for Analog. Complete chaos in the base, they call it. GG is called. Heroic have done it. A rampage for Analog to get things finished. And Heroic, I mean, they really fought quite hard for this one, but they'll get it done.
That they do. It takes a lot of effort.